You won't believe what you're about to see. Primetime national television in America is being drowned by the complaints of federal employees that are refusing to lift a finger to reply to an email from Doge. Literally just asking for a list of 5 things they got done that week. You need to watch Scott Jennings be the dose of sanity on this CNN panel that desperately needed it, because there's so much that I need to tell you about what's really going on.
Here's John Curtis talking about this yesterday.
If I could say one thing to Elon Musk, it's like, please put a dose of compassion in this. These are real people. These are real lives. These are mortgages. It's a false narrative to say we have to cut and you have to be cruel to do it as well. We can do both.
There's nothing
Hold on.
Cool about
okay, wait a minute. These are people.
Joe and Scott and Tara, we all cannot speak at the same time. But, okay, his point is, let's not be cruel. You can find out how people are performing on their job without sending a gimmicky email that is only going to get, you're going to get false positives. You're going to get people who are bad performers responding to the email and good performers not responding to the email. And what does that tell you, Scott?
The premise of your question is that there are thousands of federal workers who are lazy and dishonest. You're saying that if people respond, then they're trying to game the system of a gimmicky email. That's number one. And I don't necessarily believe that.
On the planet.
Okay,
there's nothing.
That's not how you evaluate people, by asking them to send you a random email.
They're not being evaluated. They're simply being asked, what 5 things did you do last week? It is a simple question. And the fact that no one seems to want to answer it tells me nothing.
All that fuss over replying to an email that probably no one's going to read anyway. We've learned that so far, less than half of the 2 million plus federal civil workforce have bothered to reply to that email, with many that were actively stopped by their immediate superiors. By the way, we're having some really important conversations here every day, so please be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss out. Now that got me thinking, what could be in those emails to begin with? Well, here's some screenshots that some disgruntled federal employees shared on social media, and yet it reads like a comically small request. Like, have these people had jobs? Even Elon Musk said anyone with a pulse and 2 neurons can reply to that email, which sounds about right. I mean, I was a garbage man for 3 years. This is pretty cushy. And this is just ridiculous. It's a check on whether there's even someone real at the other end of the screen receiving that email. That's literally it. And anyone trying to justify the refusal to do that when the government is spending over $270 billion a year on the federal workforce, well, it is simply hard to trust them. That is exactly what Ana Navarro did on this panel, continuing her usual absurd takes, as we've always seen on The View.
This is after, just in the first few days of the administration, they received a buyout offer that then wasn't really a buyout offer. Then it was very confusing.
No,
now,
it's not. They got a buyout if they wanted one.
There's colleagues all over the country being fired in a haphazard way. There's probationary workers being fired, supposedly for performance issues, when nobody is actually evaluating their performance. Then this email goes out. Then the agency heads say, no, don't answer the email. Don't you find it a little bit? Don't you think it would be a little bit stressful right now to be a federal worker, to be a park ranger? Yes.
And there
to be a federal worker?
It's a hell of a lot more stressful than being a
this is
public
episode number 175. Democrats dying on the Hill.
Joe, Tara, and Scott, and Anna. Everybody, hold on one second.
Your colleagues fired. It is stressful to be working
air
at the
traffic controllers
NIH.
were fired. That's a lie.
It is stressful to be.
Not one. Name one.
Scientists were Elon Musk tonight.
I read it in the Miami Herald this
hang on a
weekend.
second. Elon Musk tonight, just to add to the confusion about this, to be honest, he sent out another message on X saying the email requested was utterly trivial, as the standard for passing the test was to type some words and press send. Okay. Yet so many failed even that inane test and urged on, in some cases, by their managers. Have you ever witnessed such incompetence and contempt for how your taxes are being spent? Makes old Twitter look good. Did not think that was possible. There was also some indication that maybe they might have more time.
And that's absolutely correct. Remember, the United States federal government, not counting state administrations, is the single largest employer on planet Earth. If it was a private company, it would be the largest company in the world by headcount. And the fact that over 1 million people haven't even responded to the easiest first step to accountability, that should be worrying and baffling. In fact, that's what this whole panel discussion should be about. Why is there resistance to that step to accountability in the first place? Why aren't all federal employees simply following direct orders from the federal government or their appointed agencies simply because the political party that runs it? And that's a question that hits at something much deeper and perhaps even more concerning.
I think one other point, and this is the push and pull of when a Republican is the president. there's an attempt, when a Republican's in the White House, Donald Trump or any other Republican, to argue that these federal agencies, federal workers, the bureaucracy, sort of can act independently or autonomously from the political leadership of the country. And that's what's happening here. That's why everyone is melting down. That's why the lady came on CNN today. They don't want to answer the email because they don't want to answer to the president. And the message from Trump and Musk is we have political leaders in this country and you got to answer to it.
I'm not following you. Are you saying, are you suggesting that it's only when Republicans are president that
100%.
Agencies express independence?
Yes,
well, you know that
correct.
That's not true.
No, I know it is 100% true that the bureaucracy is not aligned with, mostly not aligned with Republicans.
For a reason. There are career civil servants who work with one president
among Democrats
and another, and do so for the Constitution and the love of country.
Hold on a second.
Constitution and love of country. Is that Ana Navarro's cover for federal employees not following directives from the federal government? Does she not understand the dangerous uprising that kind of rhetoric justifies? Honestly, this simple email request is digging up much deeper problems than perhaps even Doge or Elon Musk realized, because the resistance to it tells you a lot. And what is even more weird is arguing that Musk is not elected. He's appointed by the elected president for a particular job. End of story. Now, Abby Phillips said something next that Scott didn't get a chance to respond to, so I'll take the reins on this one, Scott. Take a look at this.
Among Democrats and Republican presidents, there are certain agencies that are statutorily independent from politics. That's the same whether it's Republican or Democrat.
You're saying that the bureaucracy is as responsive to Republican or Trump priorities as Democratic?
Is that what I said? No, it's not.
You're saying that bias doesn't exist, and I disagree.
Scott, let me just repeat what I said. There are certain agencies, regardless of the president, that are statutorily independent from politics because they deal with things that pertain to the American public, and there needs to be continuity, regardless of who the
Federal Reserve,
the Federal Reserve, the Security and Exchange Commission.
Right.
There are plenty of agencies that are like that.
But an email doesn't jeopardize continuity of government.
And there are many federal employees that are civil servants, meaning that they don't come in because of partisan politics. That's there to protect you as a conservative and Tara as a liberal.
I'm sorry, I think
it's there to protect both of you.
That is the most vanilla political take I have ever heard. Abby's using a constitutional clause that gives Congress the right to create relatively independent agencies, then using that to justify their refusal to be held accountable by the elected political administration. That's not how that works, and even if it did, that would mean accountability is needed even more for civil servants, agencies, or bureaucrats that have remained in their position for years. Through several changes in administration, it's truly amazing to me that we're even having all of these discussions in the first place, because perhaps when you've gotten accustomed to being immune to accountability, even having to answer basic questions about your job feels like oppression. But let me know in the comments what you think about this entire debate and share this with people that have an important voice to add to this conversation. Judging from what's going on, Doge is certainly going to face a lot more resistance to accountability by people and agencies that thought they were untouchable.